Why do we have emotional responses to melodies? There's a moment many of us have experienced but can't fully explain. You're sitting alone, perhaps in the evening. A song begins to play soft, slow, maybe with a haunting piano or a distant violin, and then it hits you. A tightness in the chest, lump in the throat, maybe even tears, seemingly from nowhere. It's just sound, just organized notes and tones, and yet it feels like it knows you. That's the mystery we'll explore. Today, why does music, especially melody, make us feel so much? Why can a series of notes, with no words at all, tap into our deepest joy, grief, longing, or nostalgia? To understand this strange power, we need to follow the melody through a journey, one that begins deep inside our biology, travels through the landscape of memory, echoes through the halls of culture, and finally lands in that most mysterious space, the human heart. From ears to emotions, the biological symphony. Long before we had musical instruments, before language itself had fully formed, our brains were learning how to recognize emotion from one of the most primal sources, the human voice. A baby knows its mother's tone long before it knows her words. A rising pitch can signal excitement or alarm. A low, slow tone often carries sadness or calm. Our brains, shaped by millions of years of evolution, have been trained to interpret these vocal signals instinctively. And this is where melody finds its first foothold. You see, melodies often mirror the emotional arcs of speech. A melancholy tune may descend like a sigh. An uplifting melody may rise like laughter. Even without lyrics, melodies carry emotional weight because they mimic how we express feelings through tone and rhythm, neurologically. When we hear music, it doesn't just pass through the auditory part of our brain. It lights up a vast network of emotional centers. The amygdala, which processes feelings. The nucleus accumbens, which rewards us with pleasure. The hippocampus, which binds music to memory. Listening to music can literally release dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical, the same one triggered by food, sex, or winning. But biology alone can't explain everything. If melodies tap into something primal in us, why do some songs make one person cry and another person feel nothing? To answer that, we need to dive into the realm of memory and the quiet stories we carry inside us. The secret archive, memory, meaning, and music. There's a reason a melody can hit you harder than words ever could. Music is intimately tied to autobiographical memory, those vivid emotional recollections that shape who we are. Imagine this. A certain song plays, and suddenly you're back in high school, dancing with someone you loved. Or maybe it was a rainy afternoon, your first heartbreak, a piano piece playing faintly in the background. You didn't just hear that melody, you felt it in the moment. And your brain locked the memory away with the music as the key. Years later, that same tune can unlock the memory instantly. Smells, the weather, the emotions, they come flooding back, almost unbearably vivid. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. The hippocampus, which stores long-term memory, sits right next to emotional processing centers. Music creates a shortcut between past and present, letting us relive emotions in full color. That's why a simple melody can bring you to tears, not because of what it is, but because of what it reminds you of. But even melodies we've never heard before can stir emotions. How? That's where expectation and surprise entered the stage. Tension and release. The emotional architecture of melody. Music is a game of patterns. Our brains are wired to predict what comes next, in speech, in behavior, and in music. When a melody starts, we unconsciously anticipate the next note. Will it rise? Will it fall? Will the tension resolve? Composers, knowingly or not, use this to create emotional journeys. They build tension by introducing unexpected notes or harmonies, then offer relief with a resolution. This process mirrors life itself. Stress followed by calm, struggle followed by victory. That's why a symphony's climax or a ballad's final chord can feel like a sigh after holding your breath. Even a single unresolved note can leave us hanging emotionally. It's like a question with no answer. And when that resolution finally arrives, even just a return to the home chord, it feels like something inside us has landed. This dance of expectation and surprise is deeply satisfying. It's not unlike the twists in a good story. But it's not only mental, it's physical too. Because music doesn't just move our minds, it moves our bodies. When the body feels the beat, have you ever noticed how your body responds to music before your mind catches up? Your foot taps, your head nods, your chest tightens during a slow passage. That's because music syncs with our most fundamental rhythms. Heartbeat, breathing, movement. Fast tempos can increase your heart rate, mimic excitement, or even trigger adrenaline. Slow, gentle rhythms can lower stress hormones, creating calm. This phenomenon, called entrainment, allows music to tune us emotionally, and it doesn't stop there. Entire genres, like tribal drumming, marching bands, dance music, use rhythm to bring people into collective physical states. This shared beat can even create a feeling of unity or transcendence. Think of a stadium full of people singing in sync, or a baby soothed by a lullaby in her mother's arms. The rhythm reaches into our nervous system. But again, there's a puzzle. Not every rhythm, not every melody, affects everyone the same way. Which brings us to another powerful influence: culture. The cultural filter. Learning how to feel, though music is universal, the way we interpret it is often culturally shaped. In the West, a minor key sounds sad, a major key happy. But that's not true everywhere. In Middle Eastern or Indian music, what sounds off to a Western ear may actually be emotionally profound to someone else. We've been taught, consciously or not, how certain sounds are supposed to make us feel. Movie scores, TV commercials, lullabies, they all shape our emotional expectations. When the strings swell in a romantic scene, we don't think twice. We've learned the emotional code, and this code is powerful. It means that a melody doesn't just carry sound, it carries meaning. Cultural meaning, personal meaning, sometimes even spiritual meaning. Still, there's something remarkable. Even without cultural training, people across the world often identify similar emotions in melodies. A sad violin solo tends to feel sad everywhere. A fast, cheerful flute melody feels joyful. Why? Because underneath the learned associations, there is something more primal, something built into our very capacity for empathy. Mirror neurons. Feeling without words. Have you ever cried at music that came from a language you don't understand? Or felt joy from an instrument you've never heard before? This may be due to mirror neurons, special cells in our brain that allow us to feel what we see others feeling. When we observe someone in pain or joy, our brain simulates the experience. And with music, it's as if we're witnessing emotion made audible. When a performer plays with deep sadness or soaring passion, that emotion is transferred through sound. Even if you don't know the backstory, you feel it. This is how music creates empathy without context. It doesn't need words or translation. The feeling is embedded in the sound itself, in its phrasing, its dynamics, its tempo. It's no wonder that music often becomes the emotional language of ceremonies. Weddings, funerals, protests, religious rituals. It speaks to everyone, even when we don't speak the same tongue. Music as emotional medicine. With all this emotional power, it's no surprise that music has become one of humanity's most trusted tools for emotional regulation. We reach for playlists to match or shift our mood. We use songs to grieve, to heal, to pump ourselves up. Therapists use music to help patients process trauma. Caregivers use it to awaken memories in Alzheimer's patients. Soldiers use it to calm PTSD. Athletes use it to focus before battle. Why? Because music helps us feel without fear. It creates a safe emotional container, one we can enter, experience, and exit. Even in moments when we feel alone or overwhelmed, a melody reminds us someone else has felt this too. Someone else composed this pain, this joy, this longing, and turned it into sound. That realization can be profoundly healing. The final note: music is human essence, so why do we have emotional responses to melodies? Because melodies are more than just notes and sequence. They are expressions of life, written in the universal language of sound. They connect our biology to our memory, our body, to our culture, our inner world, to the outer world. They don't just move us. They remind us that we can be moved. In a time where so much communication is digital, it's fast and shallow, melodies give us something deeper. A connection to our emotions. A reflection of our humanity. A sense that, even for a few minutes, we are not alone in what we feel. So the next time a melody moves you to tears or makes you smile for no reason, don't question it. Just listen. You're not just hearing music, you're hearing yourself.